What can you tell me about when you first started ECW, the promotion? What was there like something that made you go, okay, I want to start my own promotion. How do I go about doing it?
Not exactly. I was actually there was a guy named Joel Goodhart who had a promotion called Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, and he would run shows in the Philadelphia area. And he had a radio show on mainstream radio. And at that time, the late '80s, early '90s, wrestling wasn't even talked about in mainstream. People, it was like looked down upon. So being a fan and hearing it on the radio, I was addicted to his show. I got to know Joel. I ended up advertising on his show, got my foot in the door that way. Then he had a thing where you offer wrestlers a chance to you had a chance for a wrestler to appear in your business. You'd have them come out for personal appearances, which they didn't ever do back then. Really, I love the idea. He said, "I can get you anybody. You want Greg Valentine, Tito Santana, pick somebody. And you got it." I said, "Who else do you got?" He said, "Oh, I got Ric Flair." I said, "I know who I want." He said, "Who?" He said, "Missy Hyatt." He said, "Missy Hyatt? That's who you're picking?" And I went, "Yeah." I'm like 30 years old. Yeah, I'm picking Missy Hyatt. And sure enough, she came down to the store, did a personal appearance. And then Joel brought me as a partner in his business, which unfortunately did not succeed. And then from there, I thought, okay, well, I gave it a shot. At least I could be part of it for a short time. And then three of the people who worked with him, ring announcer Bob Ortiz, an independent worker named Larry Winters, a music guy named Steve Truitt, who all worked with Joel, approached me one day in my office and said, "Listen, we want to keep doing this. Is there any, but none of us can get a bond. Would you consider getting a promoter's license and a bond and keeping the show going?" Well, I had learned from Joel in that short time what was good and what was bad. What not to spend money on and what to spend money on. I saw where he had made the mistakes. I said, "All right, we're just doing small little bar shows, for 100 people. How big of a risk is that? It wasn't much of a risk at all." So that's what we started doing. I did not think that a year and a half later I'd be on pay-per-view and national TV. It's not my goal at the time. It just took, like I said, it took off, and people would not let it stop. It's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, definitely caught on, gained
There's
a
a
cult
hunger.
following. Yeah.
There's a hunger for something new, something believable. It's really that's really the key word there is believability.
Yeah, it's that suspense of disbelief. You want to have that illusion and imagination in your mind that somebody's getting hit with a chair, somebody's bleeding for
Except
whatever,
it wasn't an illusion. These guys were getting hit with those chairs. You went in that dressing room after a show, it was like a mass shooter back there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with all these people, they really want it bad enough to be in the wrestling business and they give it their all, blood, sweat, and tears, literally, even. That's the sacrifice.
True. And a lot of those guys, that's how they got to where they were. People like the Sandman or Public Enemy, no one had ever heard of them. And between Paul Heyman and myself, we made them into stars, and they became stars. And the key to doing that was using the best people to get them over. Uh, my mainstay, of course, was Terry Funk. Terry Funk meant more to this promotion than anybody who ever came through the doors. Without him, we never would have gotten to the levels we got to. He had the credibility, he had the believability, and he was known as a hardcore wrestler. And he single handedly elevated Sabu through a program with him. He elevated the Public Enemy when he and his brother worked tag teams against them. He elevated Shane Douglas. He made Shane Douglas. Without Terry, none of those guys would ever been anything the way they are now. He really did single handedly help every one of those guys become bigger and become main events on their own, in addition to himself. So generous, such a great human being, too.
What can you tell me about the first night ECW ran? First show ever done.
The first show I ever done again was a bar show. It was a Tuesday night, like 8 o'clock at night for maybe 100 people. It was exciting for me because now I'm running a show instead of like being a ring announcer or whatever I did with Joel. And it wasn't a great show by any stretch of the imagination, but some of those guys were hardcore guys, and they would go on to continue when Eastern, at the time called Eastern, became Extreme in ECW. So there's nothing really so memorable that would stand out. But as we grew and got into bigger buildings that had real crowds and real people who would come off of television like Morocco and Snuka, big names started coming in, and then more and more big names wanted to come in. My very first show that we had Ivan Koloff come in, and he was the only named person on the show. And what a great teacher he was. I was very fortunate that I surrounded myself with the right kind of guys early on who guided me and helped me. Otherwise, I would probably got to chewed up and spit out. I mean, that you'd be taken advantage of so easily in this industry. It's insane. But I had really honest guys there. Ivan was such a gentleman. Terry, these guys really wanted, and Snuka, they all wanted the company to succeed. They believed in it. They believed in my vision of it, and we just hit it off together. And without them, who knows where I would have ended up? They guided me along the way so that I would not be chewed up and spit out, so to speak.